She threw herself between the bullets and the Vampire King's daughter, without thinking. The world went silent except for the sound of shattering glass and her own heartbeat. What Maya didn't know was that the little girl clutching her sleeve was the only thing King Lucian had left to love in this world, and he would burn down kingdoms to keep safe anyone who protected her. The cafe smelled like cinnamon and fresh coffee on Tuesday mornings. Maya had worked the early shift at Moonlight Brew for 2 years, long enough to know every regular by name and order. Mrs. Chen always wanted extra foam. The college student in the corner booth took his espresso black. And the little girl who came in every Tuesday at exactly 8:15 always ordered hot chocolate with marshmallows shaped like stars. She never came alone. 2 men in dark suits sat at nearby tables, their eyes constantly scanning the room. They never ordered anything. They just watched. The girl couldn't have been older than 6. She had dark curls that bounced when she walked, and eyes the color of amber honey. She was polite in the way children are when adults have taught them to fear making mistakes. Please and thank you delivered in a whisper. Hands folded in her lap, never asking for anything extra. Maya's heart had broken for her the first time she'd served her. Something about the way the child sat so perfectly still, like she was afraid of taking up too much space in the world. So Maya had started adding extra marshmallows without being asked. Then, a small cookie on the side. Tiny acts of kindness that made the little girl's face light up like sunrise. This Tuesday started like all the others. The bell above the door chimed at 8:14. The little girl walked in, her small hand gripping a worn, stuffed rabbit. The 2 suited men followed, taking their usual positions. Maya already had the hot chocolate prepared, star marshmallows floating on top like wishes. She brought it to the corner table where the girl always sat, by the window with the view of the morning sun painting the street gold. "Thank you, Miss Maya," the girl said softly. Her name was Isabella. Maya had learned that 3 weeks ago when she'd needed to call her away from the counter. "You're very welcome, sweetheart." Maya set down the mug carefully. "I added an extra star today, just for you." Isabella's smile was small but genuine. She reached for the mug with both hands, careful not to spill. The stuffed rabbit sat beside her plate, its button eyes keeping watch. Maya returned to the counter, wiping down surfaces that didn't need wiping. The cafe was quiet. Only 5 customers total. The college student typing furiously, an elderly man reading the newspaper, a young couple sharing a pastry, and Isabella with her silent guardians. Everything was normal, peaceful, right up until the moment the black van screeched to a stop outside. Maya noticed it first. Years of watching people had trained her to spot when something felt wrong. The van's doors were already opening before it fully stopped. Men poured out, their movements coordinated and purposeful. She saw the guns before her mind, fully processed what was happening. Her body moved on instinct. She vaulted over the counter, knocking a display of biscotti to the floor. The suited guards were already rising from their seats, reaching for weapons concealed beneath their jackets. But Maya was closer. Isabella looked up from her hot chocolate, confused by the sudden commotion. Her amber eyes found Maya's face, just as the cafe's front window exploded inward. Glass became 1,000 glittering razors, flying through the air in slow motion. Maya's arms wrapped around Isabella's small body, lifting her from the chair. She twisted, putting her own back between the child and the window, between the child and whatever was coming through it. The impact hit her like a truck. Once, twice, 3 times. Sharp and burning and impossibly hard. Her knees buckled. She went down, still holding Isabella, curling around her like a shell. The floor was cold against her cheek. She could hear screaming. Gunfire. The suited guards returning fire, footsteps running, shouting in languages she didn't understand. But all of that seemed distant, happening in another world. Isabella was crying beneath her, tiny hands gripping Maya's uniform. "Are you okay?" Maya managed to whisper. The little girl nodded against her chest. Maya felt wetness spreading across her back, warm and wrong. The pain was starting to register now, no longer distant, but immediate and terrible. She tried to take a breath and felt something shift inside her chest that shouldn't shift. The gunfire stopped. Sudden silence, more deafening than the noise. Then footsteps. Running. Someone shouting orders. Hands on her shoulders, trying to move her. "No," she gasped. "Isabella." "Don't move her," a deep voice commanded, one she didn't recognize. Male, controlled but edged with something sharp. "Get my daughter out first." Daughter. Maya's fading mind registered the word. Not a random child. Someone's daughter. Gentle hands lifted Isabella away. The little girl was screaming now, reaching back for Maya. "Miss Maya. Miss Maya, don't go." Maya tried to smile, to show the child she was okay, but her face wouldn't cooperate. Everything was getting fuzzy around the edges, like someone was turning down the lights. She felt herself being rolled over. The movement sent lightning through her chest. Above her, a man's face came into focus. Sharp features carved from marble. Dark hair touched with silver at the temples. Eyes the same amber color as Isabella's but ancient, holding centuries of winter. He was beautiful the way a sword was beautiful, dangerous and precise. "Stay with me," he said. His hand pressed against her back, trying to stop the bleeding she could feel pouring out of her. His other hand cradled her face with surprising gentleness. "What's your name?" "Maya," she managed. Her voice sounded far away. "Maya," he repeated. It sounded different in his mouth. Important. "I'm Lucian. You saved my daughter." She tried to respond, to say it was nothing, that anyone would have done the same, but her lungs wouldn't fill properly. Darkness crept in from the corners of her vision. "Don't close your eyes," Lucian commanded. It wasn't a request. It was an order, delivered with the weight of absolute authority. "Stay with Isabella. She needs to thank you properly." Isabella. The little girl's face appeared beside her father's, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Miss Maya gave me extra marshmallows," she sobbed. "Every Tuesday. Extra stars." Lucian's expression shifted, something behind his eyes cracking. "You knew my daughter?" "He comes every week," Maya whispered. "Sweet girl. Deserves all the stars." The darkness was winning. She could feel it pulling her down like deep water. Lucian's hand tightened on her face. "No. You don't have my permission to die. Do you understand me? Maya, look at me." She tried. She really did. But the world was fading. The last thing she heard was Lucian's voice, stripped of command, raw with something that sounded like desperation. "Someone get me a healer. Now. Find Victor. I don't care if you have to drag him from his coffin. This human doesn't die." Then, nothing. Maya woke to whiteness. White ceiling, white walls, white sheets tucked around her body with hospital corner precision. For a moment, she thought she was dead. Then the pain hit, and she knew with absolute certainty that she was very much alive. Dead people didn't hurt like this. Her back felt like someone had set it on fire and then put the fire out with a hammer. Every breath pulled at something deep inside her chest. She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. "Easy," a voice said from beside her bed. "You've been unconscious for 3 days. The damage was extensive." The voice belonged to a man she'd never seen before. Thin face, silver hair pulled back in a neat ponytail, wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose. He wore a white coat over a black shirt and looked at her with the clinical interest of someone studying a particularly fascinating specimen. "Where am I?" Maya's throat felt like sandpaper. "My private medical facility," the man replied. "I'm Dr. Victor Castellanos. You're lucky to be alive. The bullets hit your lung, liver, and shoulder. You should have died on that cafe floor." She remembered. The glass. The gunfire. Isabella. "The little girl," Maya croaked. "Where is she?" "Safe." Victor adjusted his glasses. "Unharmed, thanks to your intervention. You took 3 bullets meant for her. She would have been killed instantly." The memory of Isabella's small body in her arms, the terror in those amber eyes. made Maya's chest tighten in a way that had nothing to do with her injuries. "Good," she whispered. "That's good." Victor studied her quietly. Most people's first question is why they were shot. You ask about the child. Maya didn't know how to explain that Isabella's Tuesday visits had become the brightest part of her week, that watching the little girl's face light up over extra marshmallows had felt like the most important thing she'd ever done. "She's a sweet kid," was all Maya said. "She deserves to be safe." The doctor's expression softened slightly. "Yes, she does." He made a note on his tablet. "His Majesty will want to know you're awake." "His who?" But Victor was already walking toward the door. "I'll send word. He'll want to speak with you personally." "Wait," Maya called out. "What do you mean, Majesty? Who exactly is Isabella's father?" Victor paused at the door, looking back at her, with something that might have been amusement. "You really don't know? King Lucian Thorn, ruler of the Eastern Vampire Territories, one of the oldest and most powerful vampires in existence. You threw yourself in front of bullets for the Vampire King's daughter." The words didn't make sense. Vampire. King. Those were things from stories, from movies, not from real life. Not from Tuesday morning coffee runs. "You're joking," Maya said weakly. Victor's slight smile said he wasn't. "The supernatural world exists parallel to yours, Miss Maya. We've simply been very good at staying hidden. Until moments like this." He gestured at her bandaged body. "Moments when humans stumble into our conflicts." She wanted to argue, to insist this was impossible. But she remembered Lucian's face above hers on the cafe floor, those ancient amber eyes, the way he'd moved with inhuman grace, the absolute authority in his voice when he'd commanded her not to die. "Oh God," she breathed. Victor nodded. "Indeed. Rest now. His Majesty will visit soon, and you'll want your strength for that conversation." He left before Maya could ask what that meant. She lay back against the pillows, mind reeling. Vampires. Real vampires. She'd saved a vampire princess, been shot protecting her, been brought to some private facility and healed by a vampire doctor. This was insane. She had to be dreaming, hallucinating from blood loss. But the pain in her back was too real, the hospital room too detailed. And when she closed her eyes, she could still feel the weight of Isabella's small body in her arms, still hear her crying. "Miss Maya, don't go." The door opened again an hour later. Maya had been dozing, drifting in and out of uncomfortable sleep. She opened her eyes to find Lucian standing at the foot of her bed. He looked different from the cafe, less desperate, more controlled. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her annual rent, tailored perfectly to his tall frame. His dark hair was swept back from his face, revealing those sharp features she remembered. But his eyes were the same. Ancient amber studying her with an intensity that made her want to hide under the blankets. "You're awake," he said. It wasn't a question. Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. Lucian moved closer, his footsteps silent on the floor. "How do you feel?" "Like I got shot," Maya managed. 3 times. The corner of his mouth twitched. Might have been a smile. Might have been something else. "Fair assessment." "Thank you," she added, "for saving my life." Victor said I should have died. Lucian's expression darkened. "You would have. Without immediate vampire blood to stabilize you, the damage was too severe. I gave you my blood. Took 3 transfusions over as many days to heal the worst of it." Maya's hand went to her chest. "You gave me your blood?" "It was necessary." Lucian's tone was matter-of-fact. "And a small repayment for what you did. You saved my daughter's life." "There is no debt," Maya said quickly. "Isabella's a sweet kid. Anyone would have done the same." Lucian's eyes fixed on hers with laser focus. "No, they wouldn't have. My guards were trained warriors, armed and prepared. They hesitated. You didn't. You didn't think about the danger or the cost. You just moved." "Why?" Maya didn't know how to explain it. The instinct that had sent her vaulting over that counter. The absolute certainty that Isabella needed to be protected. "She's 6 years old," Maya said finally. "She comes in every Tuesday for hot chocolate with star marshmallows. She says please and thank you, and she's so careful not to be any trouble. She deserves to feel safe, to be happy, to have someone care about her extra marshmallows." Lucian's jaw tightened. Something shifted in his expression. "You knew her? Before the attack?" "I serve her coffee every week," Maya confirmed. "Have for months. I didn't know she was a princess, or that you were a king, or that any of this was real. I just knew she was a lonely little girl who needed someone to be kind to her." The silence stretched between them. Lucian seemed to be wrestling with something internal. Finally, he spoke. "Isabella hasn't stopped asking for you. Every hour since she woke up. She wants to make sure you're okay. She wants to thank you herself." "Can I see her?" Maya asked. The thought of Isabella worrying about her made her chest ache. Lucian nodded. "Tomorrow, when you're stronger. But there's something we need to discuss first." He pulled a chair closer to her bed, sitting down with fluid grace. The attack on the cafe wasn't random. My enemies knew Isabella would be there. They'd been watching her routines, waiting for an opportunity. Your cafe was supposed to be a safe location. It was compromised. Maya's stomach dropped. "You mean they were specifically targeting her?" "Yes." Lucian's voice was cold. Controlled rage barely leashed beneath the surface. "I have many enemies. Some old enough to remember when vampires ruled openly. Others who believe my daughter's existence weakens me, makes me vulnerable." "She's 6, Maya breathed, horror washing over her. "She's a child, which makes her the perfect leverage." Lucian's hands gripped the arms of his chair hard enough that Maya heard the wood creak. "They can't kill me directly. I'm too old, too powerful. But they can hurt me by taking what I love. And I have very little left to love in this world." The raw pain in those words made Maya's heart clench. What happened to her mother? Dead. Lucian's expression became a mask. Murdered when Isabella was 2. The same enemies, the same vendetta. They believe that without heirs, my line ends. My territory becomes vulnerable. They're willing to kill a child to make it happen. Maya thought of Isabella's careful politeness, the way she held her stuffed rabbit like it was the only friend she had. The brightness in her eyes when Maya added extra marshmallows. That sweet little girl carrying the weight of centuries-old vampire politics. "It's not fair," Maya said. "She shouldn't have to live like that." "No," Lucian agreed. "She shouldn't. But fairness is a luxury we don't have." His eyes met hers. "Which brings me to why I'm here. I owe you a debt, Maya. You saved my daughter's life at the cost of your own. In my world, such debts are sacred. Binding." "I don't want anything," Maya said quickly. "I'm just glad she's okay." Lucian shook his head. "You don't understand. You can't refuse. The debt exists whether you want it or not. And I intend to repay it in full." He leaned forward, his presence suddenly overwhelming. "You can't go back to your normal life. The people who attacked the cafe know you protected Isabella. They know you survived. That makes you a target now, too." "I'm just a waitress," Maya protested. "I'm nobody." "You're the human who took bullets for the vampire princess," Lucian corrected. "You're someone who acted without hesitation to protect what's mine. That makes you extremely interesting to my enemies. They'll want to know why. They'll want to know if you're important to me." "Are you saying I'm in danger?" "Imminent danger," Lucian confirmed. "I've had guards watching your apartment since the attack. There have already been 3 attempts to breach the perimeter. My people stopped them, but it's only a matter of time before they succeed." Fear crawled up Maya's spine. "I don't even know these people. Why would they care about me?" "Because they know I care," Lucian said quietly. "Anyone who protects my daughter becomes someone I protect in return. It's how I'm made. How all vampires of my age are made." Loyalty for loyalty. Protection for protection. You saved what's mine. Now you're mine to keep safe. The possessiveness in his tone should have frightened her. Instead, it felt oddly reassuring, like a wall being built between her and danger. So what do I do? Maya asked. I can't just hide forever? No, Lucian agreed, which is why I'm offering you a choice. Option 1. I relocate you. New identity, new city, new life. You disappear completely. My people will set you up with everything you need. Money, housing, employment. You'll be comfortable, but you'll be alone. You'll never see Isabella again. Maya's heart clenched. Never. It would be too dangerous, Lucian explained. Any connection between you could be traced. You'd have to cut all ties completely. What's option 2? Maya asked, already knowing she couldn't accept option 1. The thought of never seeing Isabella again, never knowing if the little girl was safe and happy, felt impossible. Lucian's amber eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that stole her breath. You come with me. You live in the palace, under my protection. You become part of Isabella's life officially. Governess, companion, whatever title feels appropriate. You'd be safe within my territory. My enemies wouldn't dare attack you there. But, he continued, his voice dropping lower, it would mean leaving your human life behind entirely. Your job, your apartment, your friends, everything. You'd be entering a world that operates by different rules, vampire rules. And once you're in that world, leaving becomes complicated. Maya's mind reeled. Live in a vampire palace, become part of Isabella's life, give up everything she knew. It was insane, impossible. You don't have to decide now, Lucian said, standing. Think about it. You have until you're medically cleared to leave. About a week. Then I'll need your answer. He moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, Isabella drew you a picture. She wanted me to give it to you. He pulled a folded piece of paper from his jacket pocket and set it on her bedside table. Then he was gone, the door closing silently behind him. Maya reached for the paper with shaking hands. She unfolded it carefully. The drawing was done in crayon, the lines wobbly and imperfect the way children's art always was. It showed 2 figures, a small one with dark curls holding a stuffed rabbit, and a taller one with yellow hair, drawn in bright colors. They were holding hands. Above them, Isabella had drawn stars. Dozens of stars, scattered across the page like marshmallows floating in hot chocolate. At the bottom, in carefully printed letters, it said, "Thank you, Miss Maya. I love you." Maya's vision blurred. She pressed the drawing to her chest, feeling tears slip down her cheeks. She thought about her small apartment that she could barely afford, her job at the cafe that paid minimum wage and demanded maximum effort, her few friends who she saw maybe once a month, her family, 3 states away, who she called on holidays, compared to a little girl who drew pictures with stars and said, "I love you." A little girl who needed someone to care about her extra marshmallows, who needed someone to make her feel safe and loved and important. It wasn't even a choice. Not really. Maya had thrown herself in front of bullets without thinking. This was just another leap, a different kind of danger. When Victor came to check on her that evening, she asked him to send a message to Lucian. "Tell him I choose option 2, she said. "Tell him I'm coming to the palace." Victor smiled slightly. "He already knew you would. He's been preparing a room for you since the day you woke up." "How did he know?" Maya asked. Victor's smile widened. "Because he knows what it looks like when someone loves his daughter. And he knows that people who truly love her don't walk away, not even when it's safer, not even when it's smarter." Maya looked down at the drawing in her hands, at the stars and the careful letters spelling out love. No, she thought. They don't walk away. They leap. The week passed in a blur of healing and preparation. Victor cleared her medically on day 6, declaring her recovery remarkable even with vampire blood assistance. Lucian visited twice more, bringing practical information about the palace, the staff, her role. He'd arranged for her apartment to be cleared and her belongings stored. He'd settled her lease, handled everything with the efficiency of someone who'd been managing complicated logistics for centuries. Maya's friends from the cafe sent messages. She told them she was taking a job out of state, a private family position she couldn't pass up. It hurt to lie, but the truth was impossible to explain. On the 7th day, a black car arrived at Victor's facility. Not the armored vehicle she'd expected, but a sleek sedan with tinted windows. Lucian sat in the back, Isabella beside him. The little girl practically vibrated with excitement when Maya slid into the seat across from them. "Miss Maya," she breathed, her amber eyes huge and bright. "You're really coming home with us?" "I really am," Maya confirmed. "If that's okay with you?" Isabella launched herself across the space between them, small arms wrapping around Maya's neck with fierce intensity. "I missed you so much. I was so scared you were gone forever like Mama." Maya's throat tightened. She hugged the child back, careful of her still healing injuries. "I'm okay, sweetheart. I'm right here." Lucian watched them with an expression Maya couldn't quite read. Something soft had entered those ancient eyes. Something that looked almost like relief. "We should go," he said quietly. "The palace is 2 hours north." Isabella settled back into her seat, but kept hold of Maya's hand like she was afraid to let go. She chattered the entire drive, telling Maya about her room and the gardens and the library and the horses. All the things she wanted to show her. Maya listened and smiled, and tried not to think too hard about what she'd agreed to. The palace appeared as they crested a hill an hour outside the city. It sprawled across the landscape like something out of a fairy tale, all stone towers and arched windows, surrounded by walls that had stood for centuries. It should have looked medieval and cold. Instead, it looked like home. The car passed through gates guarded by men and women who moved with the same predatory grace as Lucian. Vampires, Maya realized. All of them. They entered a courtyard where fountains played and flowers bloomed despite the late season. Staff waited on the steps, a dozen people in varying styles of dress from formal suits to casual clothes. Lucian helped Isabella out first, then extended a hand to Maya. She took it, feeling the cool strength of his grip as he steadied her. "Welcome," he said, "to the House of Thorn." A woman stepped forward from the group, middle-aged with kind eyes and graying hair pulled into a neat bun. She wore a simple dress and an air of comfortable authority. "This is Margaret," Lucian introduced. "She manages the household staff. She'll help you get settled." Margaret smiled warmly. "Welcome, Miss Maya. We've heard a great deal about you." "All good, I hope," Maya said weakly. The woman's smile widened. "You saved our princess. That makes you family as far as we're concerned." Isabella tugged on Maya's hand. "Come see your room. It's right next to mine. Daddy said you should be close." The next hour passed in a whirlwind. Isabella dragged her through hallways lined with paintings and tapestries, up staircases that spiraled into towers, through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The palace was massive, but it didn't feel cold or empty. Staff greeted them warmly. Children's laughter echoed from somewhere distant. Light poured through tall windows, making everything glow. Maya's room was beautiful. High ceilings, a four-poster bed draped in soft fabrics, a fireplace already lit against the evening chill. Windows overlooked gardens, where paths wound between flowering shrubs. And right there, a door connecting to another room. "Isabella's room," the little girl announced proudly, pushing through the connecting door. "See? You can hear me if I have nightmares." "Do you have nightmares often?" Maya asked gently, following her through. Isabella's expression clouded. "Sometimes. About the bad men, about Mama, about people leaving." Her small hand gripped her stuffed rabbit tighter. "But Daddy said, 'You're staying. You won't leave like the others did.'" What others? Maya asked, glancing back toward the hallway where she could hear Lucian speaking with Margaret. The other ladies, Isabella said matter-of-factly. The ones Daddy hired to take care of me. They always left. They said I was too quiet, or too much trouble, or they didn't like living with vampires. One said I was creepy. Maya's heart broke. You're not creepy, sweetheart. You're wonderful. Isabella looked up at her with those huge amber eyes. You really think so? I know so, Maya said firmly. You're kind and polite, and you love hot chocolate with star marshmallows. You're perfect exactly as you are. The little girl's smile was brilliant. I drew you another picture. Want to see? She pulled Maya toward a desk covered in crayons and paper. The next picture showed the palace with 3 figures in front of it. Small Isabella with her rabbit. Tall Lucian with his serious face. And Maya, drawn with a big smile and yellow hair. They were all holding hands. Family, Isabella had written at the top in careful letters. Maya felt tears prick her eyes for the second time since meeting this child. It's beautiful, she managed. Can I keep it? Isabella nodded eagerly. I'll make you lots more. I'm going to draw you every day so you remember you belong here. I won't forget, Maya promised. A knock at the connecting door made them both turn. Lucian stood in the doorway, his large frame filling the space. Time for bed, Isabella, he said. It's past your bedtime. But Miss Maya just got here, Isabella protested. And she'll be here tomorrow, Lucian replied firmly, and the day after that. You need your sleep. Do you want Miss Maya to read you a story? Maya asked, sensing the little girl's reluctance to end the evening. Isabella's face lit up. She looked at her father hopefully. Lucian's expression softened. If Miss Maya doesn't mind. I don't mind at all, Maya assured them. Isabella grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the bed. A small but ornate thing with gauzy curtains and mountains of pillows. The little girl climbed under the covers, rabbit tucked close, looking up at Maya with pure trust. There was a bookshelf against the wall filled with children's stories. Maya selected one about a brave little mouse and sat on the edge of the bed. She began to read, aware of Lucian leaning against the doorframe, watching them. Isabella's eyes grew heavy halfway through the story. By the final page, she was asleep, her breathing soft and even. Maya carefully marked the page and set the book aside. She started to rise, but Isabella's hand shot out, gripping her sleeve even in sleep. Don't go, the little girl murmured, not quite awake. Not like Mama. I'm here, Maya whispered, settling back down. I'm right here, sweetheart. She looked up to find Lucian's eyes on her, something intense and unreadable in their amber depths. She hasn't let anyone close since her mother died, he said quietly. The governesses I hired, she tolerated them, obeyed them, but she never trusted them, never asked them to stay. Maya gently stroked Isabella's dark curls. Maybe she just needed someone who cared about her marshmallows. Lucian moved closer, his footsteps silent. He looked down at his daughter, his expression transforming into something achingly tender. You're good with her. Natural. I had a little brother, Maya said softly. Before he died, I used to read to him every night. He had leukemia. The treatments made him so sick, but stories helped, made him forget the pain for a while. I'm sorry, Lucian said, and he sounded like he meant it. How old was he? 7. Maya felt the familiar ache in her chest. He died when I was 19. He would have been 14 now. Lucian was quiet for a moment. Then, is that why you didn't hesitate? In the cafe? Maya looked down at Isabella's sleeping face. Maybe. I don't know. I just knew I couldn't let anything happen to her. She deserves to grow up, to be happy, to have someone who makes sure she gets extra marshmallows. Lucian's hand came to rest on her shoulder, gentle despite the strength she could feel coiled beneath his touch. She has that now, thanks to you. Maya felt the weight of his gratitude, his trust. It should have been terrifying, this commitment she'd made, this world she'd entered. But looking at Isabella's peaceful face, feeling the little girl's fingers still clutching her sleeve, it felt right. "I should let you rest," Lucian said, though his hand lingered a moment longer. "You've had a long day." "Will she be okay if I move?" Maya asked, glancing at Isabella's grip. "She tends to wake if someone leaves too quickly," Lucian admitted. "Nightmares, like she said. Sometimes it takes hours to calm her again." "Then I'll stay until she's deeper asleep," Maya decided. Lucian studied her for a long moment. "Thank you. For everything." "You don't have to keep thanking me," Maya said. "She's easy to love." Something flickered across Lucian's face, an emotion too quick to catch, but profound enough to change the air between them. "Yes," he agreed quietly. "She is." He left them there, daughter and the woman who'd saved her, and closed the connecting door behind him with a soft click. Maya sat with Isabella for another hour, waiting until the little girl's grip relaxed and her sleep deepened into the kind of rest that held no dreams. Then she carefully extracted herself, tucked the covers around the small body, and slipped through the connecting door to her own room. The fire had burned down to embers. Someone, probably Margaret, had unpacked the few belongings Maya had brought and laid out a nightgown on the bed. Maya changed, her body aching with the day's activities, and slid between sheets that felt like clouds. She'd done it. Left her entire life behind. Moved into a vampire palace to care for a princess she barely knew. It was insane. Reckless. The kind of decision that should have filled her with regret. Instead, she felt peace. The next morning, Maya woke to sunlight streaming through tall windows and the sound of small feet running across the floor. "Miss Maya," Isabella burst through the connecting door, already dressed and vibrating with energy. "You're still here. You didn't leave." "I told you I wouldn't," Maya said, sitting up and smiling at the child's obvious relief. Isabella climbed onto the bed, rabbit in tow. "Can we have breakfast in the garden?" "Daddy said I could show you the roses. They're my favorite." "That sounds perfect," Maya agreed. "Give me a few minutes to get dressed." She found clothes laid out for her, simple but well made, in styles that wouldn't look out of place in the palace. She dressed quickly and let Isabella lead her through the winding corridors down to a garden that took her breath away. Roses of every color bloomed in careful beds. Paths wound between them, leading to a courtyard with a table already set for breakfast. Lucian sat at the head of the table, reading something on a tablet. He looked up as they approached, his expression softening when he saw his daughter's excitement. "Good morning," he said. "Did you sleep well, Maya?" "Very well. Thank you," Maya replied, taking the seat Isabella indicated. The little girl climbed into her own chair and immediately started chattering about the roses, about the butterflies she'd seen yesterday, about the new book she wanted Maya to read tonight. A servant appeared with breakfast, fresh fruit, pastries, eggs prepared 3 different ways. Isabella loaded her plate with strawberries and cream. Maya took modest portions, still feeling like a guest rather than someone who lived here. Lucian watched them with that same unreadable expression. After breakfast, "Daddy has meetings," Isabella announced. "But Margaret said she'll take us to the library. It has 1,000,000 books." "Maybe not 1,000,000, Lucian corrected with the faintest smile. "But close." He looked at Maya. "I'll have someone bring you the materials about Isabella's education. She has tutors for mathematics and languages, but I'd like you to oversee her general learning. Reading, writing, history. Things that require a gentler touch." "Of course," Maya agreed. "What languages is she studying?" "Latin, French, and Spanish currently," Lucian said. "She'll add others as she gets older. Vampire society requires multilingual fluency." Isabella made a face. "Latin is hard." "But you're doing wonderfully," her father assured her. "Your tutor says you have an excellent memory." Maya spent the day learning the rhythms of palace life. Margaret showed her the library, an enormous room filled with books from floor to ceiling, accessible by rolling ladders. The music room with its grand piano. The ballroom that looked like something from a movie. The kitchens where staff prepared meals for the 100 or so people who lived and worked in the palace. Everyone she met was kind, welcoming. They all seemed genuinely happy that she was there, that Isabella had someone she'd bonded with. By afternoon, Maya understood why. Isabella had been alone in her grief, surrounded by people but isolated by loss and fear and the weight of being a vampire princess. She needed someone who saw her as just a little girl, someone who cared about her marshmallows. The tutors arrived after lunch. Maya sat with Isabella through mathematics, watching the little girl work through problems with careful concentration. Then French, where Isabella's pronunciation was nearly perfect. Then music, where she played simple scales on the piano with small, determined hands. "You're very talented," Maya told her when the lessons finished. Isabella beamed. "Daddy says Mama loved music. She used to sing to me when I was little." "Do you remember her?" Maya asked gently. "A little," Isabella said, her expression growing wistful. She had long, dark hair, and she smiled a lot. And she smelled like flowers. She used to dance with me in the garden, her small face clouded. Then the bad men came and she went away. Daddy said she went to heaven, that she's watching over me. "I'm sure she is," Maya said, pulling the child close. "And I'm sure she's very proud of you." "Do you think Miss Maya would have liked me?" Isabella asked quietly. "I think," Maya said carefully, "she would have loved you exactly as much as you deserve to be loved, which is more than all the stars in the sky." Isabella hugged her, tight. "I'm glad you came to live with us." "Me too, sweetheart." That evening, Lucian joined them for dinner in a smaller dining room, more intimate than the formal hall. He asked Isabella about her lessons, listened attentively as she described her day, praised her progress in French. After Isabella went to bed, following another story from Maya, Lucian invited Maya to join him in his study. The room was lined with books and artifacts that looked ancient. A fire burned in a massive hearth. He poured 2 glasses of wine and offered her one. "You've made a remarkable difference already," he said, settling into a chair across from her. "She hasn't been this animated in years." "She's a wonderful child," Maya replied, "easy to care about." Lucian studied her over his wine glass. "You don't have to be so formal with me. Not here, in private. This is your home now." "I'm still adjusting," Maya admitted. "This morning I was a waitress. Now I'm living in a palace, caring for a princess. It's a lot to process." He nodded. "I understand. But I meant what I said about the debt. You're not a servant here, Maya. You're family, as Margaret said. Isabella has claimed you. That makes you mine to protect." The possessiveness in his tone sent a shiver through her that wasn't entirely fear. "You keep saying that I'm yours. In vampire culture, it's not ownership," Lucian explained. "It's responsibility. When someone puts themselves at risk for what's mine, they become part of what I protect. It's instinct, deeper than choice." Maya took a sip of wine, gathering courage. "And if I hadn't saved Isabella, if I'd been just another person in that cafe?" "Then you would have walked away unscathed," Lucian said, "anonymous and forgotten." His amber eyes held hers. "But you didn't walk away. You ran toward danger. That changes everything." They talked late into the night. He told her about vampire society, the territories, the old feuds that had led to the attack. She told him about her childhood, her brother, her quiet life before all this. Somewhere in the conversation, she realized she was talking to him not as a king, but as a person. Someone lonely and burdened, who rarely had anyone to simply talk to. When she finally returned to her room, she found Isabella had crept into her bed, rabbit tucked under one arm. The little girl stirred as Maya slid in beside her. "Bad dream?" Maya whispered. Isabella nodded sleepily. "But it's okay now. You're here." Maya stroked her hair until she fell back asleep, then lay awake thinking about the strange turn her life had taken. How 3 bullets had led her here, to this child who needed her, to this palace that was starting to feel like home. The weeks that followed fell into a rhythm: mornings with Isabella, lessons and play, afternoons in the library or gardens, evenings with Lucian, sometimes with Isabella, sometimes alone, talking about everything and nothing. Maya learned vampire history, politics, the intricate web of alliances and enemies. She met other supernatural beings who visited the palace, witches and werewolves, and beings she had no names for. All of them treated her with respect, recognizing her as someone under the king's protection. Isabella bloomed under the attention. Her nightmares became less frequent, her smiles more genuine. She started initiating hugs, seeking physical affection she'd been afraid to ask for before. She drew pictures constantly, filling Maya's room with crayon renderings of their days together. And Lucian changed too. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. He smiled more, laughed at Isabella's jokes, spent less time locked in his study and more time in the garden with his daughter. Watching them together, Maya saw the father he must have been before tragedy had hardened him. One evening, a month after Maya's arrival, Lucian found her in the library. She was curled in a window seat, reading while Isabella slept upstairs. "May I join you?" he asked. "Of course." Maya set her book aside. He sat across from her, silent for a moment. "Then, I want to thank you again." Maya started to protest, but he held up a hand. "Let me finish. You've given me back my daughter. Not just kept her safe, but helped her heal. Helped her trust again. She's happy in a way I thought she'd never be after her mother's death." "You did that." "Not me," Maya said. "I just read her stories, and make sure she gets her marshmallows." "You saw her," Lucian corrected, "when everyone else, including me, was so focused on keeping her safe that we forgot to make her happy. You remembered that she's a child who needs love more than she needs guards." His expression was intense. "I've been alive for 5 centuries, Maya. I've seen empires rise and fall. I've commanded armies and ruled territories. But I'd forgotten how to simply be present for my daughter. You taught me that." Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks under his gaze. "I'm glad I could help." "There's something else," Lucian continued. "Something I need to tell you. The people who attacked the cafe have been dealt with. My enemies know that touching Isabella means facing my full wrath. She's safe now. Safer than she's been since her mother died." "That's wonderful," Maya said, relief washing through her. "It is," Lucian agreed. "Which means the immediate danger has passed. You fulfilled the commitment you made. If you wanted to leave, to return to your normal life, I would understand. I'd make sure you were protected, give you everything you need to start over safely." Maya's heart stopped. He was offering her an out, a return to normalcy. She could go back to her apartment, her cafe, her simple life. But looking around the library, thinking of Isabella asleep upstairs, of the dinners with Lucian, and the lessons in the garden, and the drawings that said family, she realized something fundamental. "I don't want to leave," she said quietly. "This is my life now. Isabella needs me. And honestly, I need her too. She's filled a space I didn't know was empty." Lucian's expression shifted. "Relief? Hope? Are you certain? Once you commit fully to this life, to us, it becomes harder to untangle. Vampire bonds are permanent." "I'm certain," Maya said firmly. "I'm not going anywhere." Something in Lucian's posture relaxed. "Then we need to make it official. Your position here has been temporary, informal. But if you're staying, you should have a proper title. Proper standing in the court." "I don't need a title," Maya protested. "Yes," Lucian said, "you do. For your own protection. Right now, you're a guest. That's not enough to shield you from the politics of vampire society. But if you were formally recognized as Isabella's guardian, her companion, you'd have legal standing. Rights that even my enemies would have to respect. What would that entail? Maya asked. A ceremony, Lucian explained. Nothing elaborate. Just a formal declaration before the court. You'd swear to protect Isabella and guide her. I'd swear to protect you and honor your position. It would bind us in vampire law. Make you legally part of this house. Maya considered. It felt right. Official recognition of what she already felt in her heart. Okay, she agreed. When? 3 days, Lucian said. I'll arrange everything. He stood, then hesitated. There's one more thing you should know. Once you're bound to this house, to Isabella and to me, other vampires will view you as mine. Not as property, he added quickly, but as someone under my direct protection. Someone who belongs to my family. It may make you uncomfortable. Maya thought about how she already felt, how she looked forward to evenings talking with Lucian, how his presence made her feel safe, how the thought of belonging to this strange, wonderful family filled her with warmth rather than fear. I think I can live with that, she said. Lucian's smile was genuine and breathtaking. Then welcome home, Maya. Officially. The ceremony took place in the throne room, a massive space with vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows that painted the floor in colored light. The vampire court assembled, dozens of immortals dressed in finery that spanned centuries of fashion. Maya wore a dress Margaret had helped her choose, deep blue velvet that made her feel like royalty herself. Isabella stood beside her, dressed in white lace, holding her stuffed rabbit in Maya's hand with equal fierceness. Lucian sat on his throne, looking every inch the ancient king. Crown on his head, ceremonial robes over his shoulders, expression regal and distant, until his eyes found Maya's. Then they warmed, just slightly, just enough. The ceremony itself was simple. Maya knelt before the throne. Lucian rose and descended the steps, standing before her with a hand extended. Do you, Maya Thorne, swear to protect and guide the Princess Isabella, to guard her happiness and her heart, to stand as her companion and champion for as long as she needs you? I do, Maya said, her voice steady and clear. Do you swear loyalty to the House of Thorne, to honor its laws and defend its people? I do. Lucian's hand settled on her head, warm despite vampire coolness. Then I, Lucian Thorne, King of the Eastern Territories, accept your oath. I swear to protect you as I protect my own blood, to honor your position and defend your life. You are bound to this house, and this house is bound to you. May it be so for as long as you wish it. A ripple went through the assembled court. Maya felt something shift, like invisible threads connecting her to Lucian, to Isabella, to the palace itself. It should have been frightening. Instead, it felt like coming home. Rise, Lucian said softly. Rise, Lady Maya, guardian of the princess. Maya stood on shaking legs. Lucian's hand moved from her head to her shoulder, steadying her. The court erupted in applause. Isabella threw herself at Maya, hugging her waist. Now it's official, the little girl said, beaming. Now you really can't leave. Never, Maya promised, kneeling to hug her properly. I'm here forever, sweetheart. The celebration afterward was elaborate. A feast laid out in the great hall, music and dancing. Nobles approaching to congratulate Maya and welcome her formally to the court. She met so many people her head spun with names and titles. But through it all, Lucian stayed close, not hovering, but present. A steady presence at her elbow, smoothly managing introductions, deflecting anyone who seemed too intrusive. When the dancing started, he appeared at her side. May I? He asked, extending his hand. Maya let him lead her onto the floor. She'd never been a great dancer, but Lucian guided her effortlessly, his hand at her waist, her hand in his. You did well today, he said as they moved through the steps. You were nervous. Only terrified, Maya admitted. I've never had an entire court of vampires watching me swear magical oaths before. He smiled. You held yourself with grace. Isabella was so proud. I could feel it through the bond. Maya's eyes widened. You can feel her. Now that you're bound to us, yes, Lucian confirmed. It's faint. Not thoughts exactly. But emotions. Her happiness radiates like sunlight. She hasn't felt this secure since before her mother died. Because of you. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She's easy to love. Lucian's hand tightened slightly at her waist. Yes, he said quietly. She is. They danced in silence for a moment. Then Lucian spoke again, his voice lower. I can feel you too now, through the bond. I hope that doesn't disturb you. Maya met his eyes, ancient and amber, and fixed on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. What do you feel? He asked. Right now? Safe, Maya answered honestly. Happy. Like I finally found where I'm supposed to be. Lucian's expression shifted. Something raw and vulnerable crossed his face before he controlled it. Good, he said. That's good. The song ended. Lucian bowed formally, but his eyes never left hers. Thank you for the dance, Lady Maya. Thank you for everything, she replied. The celebration continued late into the night. When it finally wound down, Maya found Isabella asleep in her chair, Rabbit clutched close. She carried the little girl upstairs, Lucian following silently. They tucked Isabella into bed together, a routine that had become familiar over the past month. Maya kissed her forehead. Lucian smoothed her dark curls. Good night, princess, he murmured. Dream well. They stepped into the hallway, pulling the door nearly closed. Maya turned to head to her own room, but Lucian's voice stopped her. Maya. Wait. She turned back. He stood in the hallway looking uncertain, an expression she'd never seen on him before. Yes? I wanted to ask you something, he said. About the bond. The ceremony tonight, it was formal. Legal. But there's another kind of bond. One that's deeper, more permanent. Maya's heart began to race. What kind of bond? A soul bond, Lucian said carefully. It's rare, reserved for those who are truly family. Mates, partners in every sense. It would connect us completely. Let us feel each other's emotions fully. Protect you from aging, from illness, from everything that makes humans fragile. He stepped closer. I'm not asking now. You've only been here a month. You've already committed to Isabella, to this life. I won't pressure you into more. But I wanted you to know it exists, that if you ever wanted that kind of permanence, that kind of connection, I would offer it gladly. Maya's mind reeled. He was talking about forever, about becoming something more than human, about binding herself to him completely. Why? She whispered. Why would you offer that? Lucian's hand came up to cup her cheek, gentle despite his strength. Because somewhere between watching you read to my daughter and listening to you laugh in the garden and dancing with you tonight, I realized I don't want you here just for Isabella. I want you here for me. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. I'm 500 years old, Maya. I've loved once, lost her, and thought I'd never feel that way again. But you make me want to try. Make me want to be more than just a king and a father. You make me want to be a man again. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Lucian wiped them away with infinite tenderness. I'm not asking for an answer, he repeated. Think about it. Take all the time you need. I'll wait, however long it takes. He pressed a kiss to her forehead, chaste and sweet, then stepped back. Good night, Maya. Good night, she managed. He disappeared down the hallway, leaving her standing outside Isabella's room with her heart pounding and her mind spinning. She went to bed, but didn't sleep. Instead, she lay awake thinking about the past month, about how completely her life had changed, about the little girl sleeping next door who'd stolen her heart, about the ancient vampire king who'd just offered her forever. It should have been terrifying, impossible. But Maya had stopped believing in impossible the moment she'd thrown herself in front of bullets for a child she barely knew. She'd leaped once, she could leap again. When morning came, she found Lucian in the garden with Isabella. They were examining roses together, the little girl chattering about colors, while her father listened with patient attention. Maya watched them for a moment, the strange, beautiful family she'd fallen into. Then she walked across the grass to join them. Isabella spotted her first. "Miss Maya, come see. This rose is the exact same color as your dress from last night." Maya admired the deep blue rose dutifully, but her eyes were on Lucian. He watched her with quiet intensity, waiting. "Can I talk to your father for a moment?" Maya asked Isabella gently. The little girl looked between them, then grinned with the knowing expression of a child who understood more than adults gave her credit for. "Okay, I'll be over there." She skipped toward the fountain, giving them space. Lucian stood slowly. "You didn't sleep," he observed. "I could feel your restlessness through the bond." "I was thinking," Maya said, "about what you offered." "And?" "I don't need time," Maya told him. "I already know my answer." Lucian went very still. She stepped closer, closing the distance between them. "For the past month, I've been happier than I've ever been. Isabella makes me feel needed. This place makes me feel like I belong. And you," she met his eyes directly, "you make me feel seen in a way I never have before. Like I matter beyond what I can do or provide. Like I'm valued just for existing." His hand came up to her face again, that same gentle touch. "You are valued, more than you know." "Then yes," Maya said. "I want the soul bond. I want forever. I want this family, this life, with you and Isabella. I don't want to just be her guardian. I want to be part of this. Fully. Completely." "Are you certain?" Lucian asked, his voice rough. "Once it's done, it can't be undone. You'd be bound to me for as long as we both exist." "I've never been more certain of anything," Maya replied, "including throwing myself in front of those bullets." Lucian's expression transformed. Joy, pure and unfiltered, crossed his face. He pulled her close, arms wrapping around her with careful strength. "Thank you," he breathed against her hair, "for saving my daughter. For staying. For choosing this. For choosing us." Maya held him back, feeling the rightness of it, the way they fit together. "I love her," she said quietly. "I know you do," Lucian replied. "And she loves you. She told me last night that she wished you could be her mama, that you make her feel safe like Mama did." Maya's throat tightened. "And you?" she asked. "How do you feel?" Lucian pulled back just enough to look at her. "I feel like I've been walking through winter for 3 years, and you're the first warmth I've felt. Like I've been hollow, and you're filling spaces I forgot existed." He cupped her face with both hands. "I love you, Maya. Completely. Impossibly." "I love you too," she whispered. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, Isabella was, standing a few feet away, bouncing on her toes. "Are you going to be my new mama?" she asked, hope shining in her amber eyes. "If that's okay with you," Maya said, kneeling down to the child's level. "Would you like that?" Isabella launched herself forward, hugging Maya so hard they nearly toppled over. "Yes, yes, yes. I wished on every star last night. I asked Mama in heaven if it was okay, and I think she said yes, because I had a happy dream." Maya held her close, tears streaming freely now. "Then I'm your mama. If you'll have me." "Forever and ever?" Isabella asked. "Forever and ever," Maya promised. The soul bond ceremony happened 3 days later, more private than the guardian ceremony, attended only by Isabella, Margaret, Victor, and a few close members of Lucian's council. It took place in the palace chapel, a small stone building with stained glass windows showing stars and moons. Maya wore white. Lucian wore black. They stood facing each other while Victor, who apparently had the authority to perform such rituals, spoke the ancient words. "This bond is eternal," he intoned. "It joins two souls into one, allows them to share strength, life, emotion. It cannot be broken by time or distance or death, only by willing rejection from both parties simultaneously. Do you understand the weight of what you undertake?" "We do," Maya and Lucian said together. "Then speak your truth," Victor instructed. Lucian took Maya's hands. "I, Lucian Thorn, offer you my soul, my strength, my life. I will protect you, honor you, love you for as long as existence permits. I will be your partner, your shield, your home. I choose you, Maya, knowing full well what I gain and what I risk. I choose you freely and completely." Maya's voice was steady despite her tears. "I, Maya Thorn, accept your soul and offer mine in return. I will stand with you, support you, love you through whatever comes. I will be your partner, your comfort, your home. I choose you, Lucian, knowing full well what I gain and what I risk. I choose you freely and completely." Victor produced a ceremonial knife. The blood bond requires physical exchange. He made a small cut on each of their palms. They pressed their hands together, blood mixing. Maya felt power rush through her like lightning, not painful, but intense, overwhelming. She gasped as it filled her, changing something fundamental in her cells. Lucian's grip tightened, steadying her. "I've got you," he murmured. "Breathe." She breathed. The power settled, finding its place. When she opened her eyes, the world looked different. Sharper, more vibrant. She could feel Lucian in her mind, not thoughts, but presence, solid and warm and permanent. "It's done," Victor announced. "You are soul bonded, two lives joined as one." Isabella cheered, clapping her hands. The small group applauded. Lucian pulled Maya close and kissed her properly, deeply, with all the love and promise they'd just sworn. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "Hello, wife?" "Hello, husband," Maya replied, testing the word. It felt right. Isabella tugged on Maya's dress. "Can I call you Mama now, officially?" "You can call me anything you want, sweetheart," Maya said, scooping her up. "But yes, Mama works perfectly." The little girl wrapped her arms around Maya's neck. "I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby girl." The celebration afterward was warm and intimate. Just their small, chosen family gathered around a table in the private dining room. Margaret had prepared Maya's favorite foods. Victor told embarrassing stories about Lucian from centuries past. Isabella drew a picture of their new family, 3 figures holding hands with 100 stars overhead. As the evening wound down and Isabella started yawning, Lucian carried her up to bed. Maya followed, their new bond humming between them like music. They tucked her in together, kissed her good night, and stood in her doorway watching her sleep. "She's happy," Maya said softly. "So happy." "Thanks to you," Lucian replied, his arm sliding around Maya's waist. "Thanks to us," Maya corrected. "We're a team now." "Yes," he agreed. "We are." They retreated to Lucian's chambers, which were now Maya's too. Larger than her previous room, with a massive bed and a fireplace, and windows overlooking the gardens where they'd first confessed their feelings. "This is real," Maya said, still marveling at the bond thrumming between them. "I can feel you, your emotions. It's incredible." Lucian pulled her close. "You'll get used to it. Learn to shield when you need privacy. But yes, it's real. Permanent. You're mine now, and I'm yours. Forever." Maya kissed him, pouring everything she felt into it. All the love and gratitude and wonder. When they finally broke apart, she was breathless. "I never imagined my life would turn out like this." "Neither did I," Lucian admitted. "When I saw you on that cafe floor, bleeding, I thought I was watching another person I cared about die. I couldn't bear it. Couldn't lose someone else who'd shown my daughter kindness. But you survived, Maya said. I'm here. You're here, he echoed, wonder in his voice. Against all odds, you stayed. You chose this. Chose us. Best decision I ever made, Maya assured him. They spent their first night as soul-bonded mates talking until dawn, learning the nuances of their connection, testing the limits of what they could feel through the bond. When exhaustion finally claimed them, they fell asleep tangled together, Maya's head on Lucian's chest, his arms around her. Safe. Home. Complete. The weeks that followed established their new normal. Maya officially became Isabella's mother in every way that mattered. She attended the little girl's lessons, read her bedtime stories, kissed scraped knees, and soothed nightmares. Isabella bloomed under the dual attention of both parents, her confidence growing daily. Lucian split his time between kingdom duties and family. He taught Isabella vampire history, took her riding through the palace grounds, involved her in small political decisions appropriate for her age, and he courted Maya properly, despite them already being bonded. Flowers left on her pillow, quiet dinners by candlelight, dances in the ballroom when the palace slept. Maya helped Lucian reconnect with the softer parts of himself, reminded him to laugh, to play, to be present rather than always planning for the next threat. She sat in on council meetings and offered perspectives he'd never considered, became his true partner in ruling as well as in life. 3 months after the soul bond, Lucian summoned the court for a formal announcement. Maya stood beside his throne, Isabella between them, as he addressed the assembled vampires. I called you here today to formalize what you've all witnessed over these past months, he began. Lady Maya has proven herself, not just as Isabella's guardian, but as my partner, my equal, my soul-bonded mate. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, some approving, some skeptical. Lucian continued, voice firm. Therefore, I declare her queen of the Eastern Territories. She will rule beside me, make decisions in my stead, when necessary, and command the same respect you show me. Any who question this will answer to me personally. The threat was clear. The court bowed as one. Your Majesty, they intoned to Maya. She felt the weight of the title settle on her shoulders, heavier than she'd expected, but not unbearable. Not with Lucian's pride flowing through their bond, not with Isabella's small hand gripping hers. Rise, Maya said, testing her new authority. The court rose. That night, alone in their chambers, Maya laughed until she cried. I went from waitress to queen in 4 months. This is insane. Is it too much? Lucian asked, concerned. Do you want me to retract it? No, Maya said quickly. It's perfect. Terrifying, but perfect. Just like everything else about this life. He pulled her into his arms. I'm proud of you. The way you've adapted, grown, embraced this world. You're a natural leader. I had a good teacher, Maya replied, kissing him softly. And a good reason to try. For you and Isabella. Always. As months turned to a year, then 2, Maya grew into her role as queen. She implemented changes that made the court more accessible to ordinary vampires, not just nobility. Established programs to help young vampires adjust to immortality. Created safe spaces for families like hers, human vampire bonds that needed support. Isabella grew too. At 8, she was confident and happy. The lonely, silent child, completely transformed. She had friends among both vampire and human children. She excelled in her studies. She spoke multiple languages and played piano beautifully, and never doubted that she was loved. One evening, Maya found her in the garden where they'd first arrived. The little girl was bigger now, legs longer, face losing its baby roundness. But she still carried her stuffed rabbit, still saved her biggest smiles for her parents. What you thinking about, sweetheart? Maya asked, sitting beside her on the bench. How different everything is from before you came, Isabella said. I was so lonely, so scared all the time. And now I'm not. Now I have you and Daddy, and I know I'm safe. And loved. Maya pulled her close. You were always loved, baby. Your daddy loved you even when he didn't know how to show it. I know, Isabella said. But you taught him. You taught both of us that it's okay to be happy again. That we can love new people without forgetting Mama. Maya's throat tightened. You'll never forget your Mama. She'll always be part of you. But there's room in your heart for more than one mother, right? Isabella nodded. I think Mama sent you to us, like a present, or an angel? Maybe she did, Maya agreed softly. Maybe she knew you needed someone who'd give you extra marshmallows. Isabella giggled, the sound bright and pure. I love you, Mama. I love you too, my darling girl. Forever. Forever, Isabella echoed. That night, lying in bed with Lucian, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought her here, from that terrifying moment in the cafe to this peaceful present. I never thanked you, she said quietly. For what? Lucian asked. For giving me this life, this family. For letting me love your daughter and loving me back. For making me a queen when I was just a scared waitress who got lucky. Lucian rolled to face her, his expression serious. You were never just a waitress, Maya. You were someone brave enough to throw yourself between bullets and a child. Someone kind enough to notice a lonely little girl. Someone strong enough to leave everything familiar for love. You made yourself a queen. I just recognized what was already there. Maya kissed him, deep and slow. The bond between them sang with shared emotion. Love, gratitude, perfect contentment. Thank you, she whispered against his lips, for seeing me, for choosing me, for this impossible, wonderful life. Always, Lucian promised, for as long as forever lasts.